What's going on? Welcome to the video. In this video, slightly different, we're going to have a quick deep dive into the pros and cons of a reverse osmosis system. Following a post I put on Instagram, it feels like there's quite a lot of controversy surrounding these type of systems. So I just wanted to share with you my pros and cons that I found and the reasons why I have this system, and hopefully to help you make an informed choice whether it's the right thing for you or not. So it's not going to be too much of a technical or scientific video, but a brief overview of what these are. They are known as RO systems, or reverse osmosis systems, and they provide high quality water by filtering out all of the contaminants down to about 0 to 1 part per million. In Wales, we're very lucky that our water is quite soft, at least in my part anyway. It's about 100 to 120 parts per million, whereas there's other places in the UK, such as big cities, they tend to have water which can be upwards of 200, sometimes 400 parts per million. So yeah, lucky here, but nevertheless, it's still required for my usage. But like anything, they come with their downsides as well as their upsides. So let's start off by looking at the pros for me. So for me, the pro of this system is to get that purified water. It's what it's designed for. How it gets there, we'll get to after, but it provides the purest of water that you could want, such as this beautiful looking glass of water, which is at 0 parts per million. Filters out all of the chlorine, any pesticides, any metallic contaminants in there, the whole lot, everything. So it means it's cleaner, safer for use at home, family-wise, brewing-wise, whatever. So another one of the pros are for use in home brewing, obviously, seeing the setup. This is to give you absolute consistency of your water profile. Those of you that already do this with your beers and without an RO system, this is just taking it that little step further, building the profiles up from scratch for anything that you want, such as a lager where you want very little contaminants in there, to a Burtonized water with the chloride and sulfate ratio, etc. So you can absolutely dial in those specific water profiles based on your intended result for the beer. And again, it's about consistency all the time, because believe it or not, water profiles do change quite often, so I'm told, even though it's just coming through the same pipes, the same taps, etc. And you would think that that would allow you to produce more consistency in your beer as well. So I've done it before. I've created a beer, enjoyed it, recreated that beer a couple of months later, and it's not quite the same, even though I've done it exactly the same way. The only thing that could have been different is the water profile of what I'm starting off with. So it's also cost effective. It's cost effective over time. So if you think of the plastic bottles of mineral water, or you know, the purified water that you buy, or even if you do go and buy mineral water from the shop to brew with, that's a lot of wasted money, time and money going to get all of that stuff. But it's cost effective over time, because it's part of one of the cons, these aren't cheap. Another benefit for me as well, I have some other toys that I like to keep clean, and as part of, that sounds dodgy, I have vehicles that I like to keep clean. So I've got my lovely van, and after you spend a few hours cleaning the van, the worst thing you want to see after you've cleaned it is flipping water spots on there, or mineral spots from just it crystallizing on there, little white dots all over the van where it's not dried properly, and it's so frustrating. I've also got my Yamaha XSR, which I absolutely pride to keep that thing clean as well. So those two things for me, as well as all of the other pros, just make cleaning my van and motorbike, not much my other motorbike, because that's always filthy, but let's not even go there. So one of the cons, straight into it, the cost. This was approximately about £160. I then also purchased the controller up on the side here to give me the live readings of the parts per million going into the system, and the parts per million coming out of the system. So the cost is quite high, but that is instantly offset by any environmental cost where you're not buying these water bottles and not reusing them and chuck them in the bin or landfill or whatever. Everything takes energy at the end of the day. So one of the biggest drawbacks and the most controversy with this system as well is the amount of waste water. So the wastewater that this produces, it uses water to clean water, if that makes sense. So I have a 100 gallon per day system, so it's 400 litres per day it can produce, and that could produce 4 times more contaminated or wastewater than purified water. So it's not very efficient where that is concerned. However, you can use it for other things as you wish. Obviously, opposite to what I just said about the pros, you probably wouldn't want to drink it. You probably wouldn't want to put it on your vegetables, albeit you might want to put it on your flower beds. You wouldn't want to feed it to your chickens like I have. They just have straight tap water. They're not on RO yet. They're not that posh. Another con as well is that it does remove beneficial minerals from the water that we do need as human beings. However, we get very little minerals from water. We get most of our minerals, believe it or not, from the plants and the general food that we eat. But it does take away some minerals from you. However, another way around that is to re-mineralize the water. That's normally very difficult for me to say, but I nailed it first shot. So we got to re-mineralize. See, I told you I ballsed it up. Re-mineralize the water in order to put them back in. It's a very simple process. Just put a couple of drops of that in, and it does, very, very big batches as you wish. So with this being 100 gallons per day system, it is quite slow in producing the water, so you have to plan very well when you need to top up your vessels, when you're going to be brewing. It doesn't take that long to fill up, a glass of water. It does take quite some time, especially to fill like the G40 like I've got here. So yeah, it's a slow filtration process. So back to this specific system that I have, it's a 4-stage filtration system. We have this particle filter first, then it goes through the carbon filter, and then it goes up here to the reverse osmosis filter. That's where all the action happens. It's pushed through by this pump as well, which is very quiet. And then finally it comes through this resin filter, which is a bit of a polishing filter, before it comes straight out of this very narrow 4mm hose. A quick demonstration of it working. As you can hear, the pump is running. That's just a bit of vibration off the wall. I can sort that out. So as you can see, the difference in flow rate between the clean water and the wastewater is quite significant. You can see that the water going into the filters is currently 111, 112 parts per million, whereas the water coming out is currently at 1 part per million. So I would very much like to hear your opinions on the RO systems that you have, or if you're thinking of buying, and if you're not buying, why you're not buying, etc. And if you can think of any more pros or any tips for me of what I can use this system for to make the best out of it, I'd very much appreciate that. So yeah, let's all have a chat in the comments below, and thank you for watching. I hope that's been useful, and I'll catch you in the next one. Iechyd. Let's get a beer instead.